There you go. It's just that simple, June. That's what I tell my wife right when I'm trying to figure out something, pretending like I know what's going on. Hey, I learned that saying from it was a guy that was getting ready to buy our restaurant, and he wanted me to show him how to run the restaurant, and I gave him a price for doing that, but he wouldn't commit. And he kept telling me how easy it was to run a restaurant. He says, "I'm just going to do this, and it's just that simple." He just kept saying that all the time. So finally, after it was about the fourth negotiating session with the broker and everybody, he says, "It's just that simple." I go, "Well, let me make it simpler to you." He says, "You can buy it. Talk to him later how much you want to pay. I'm closing it today," and I closed the restaurant. I was tired. I wanted to get out, and I didn't like the just that simple. I didn't think he was going to buy it. He eventually bought it, but it was closed down, and so he had to figure out how to work it. But he could have hired some of the people. It was a small restaurant, so I don't know whatever happened to him. But most people exit the restaurant business through bankruptcy or something like that. I just got tired of it. I stayed in until it was right the start of the third year, and I'd always been told by purveyors, people who sell you stuff, that you made it in the restaurant business if you've made it 3 years. So I figured, well, got the 3 years in, I'm leaving. And it was the big thing that happened over that 2+ years, that almost 3 years, that got me to realize I didn't want to be there was I quit drinking. When I was drinking, I liked running a restaurant, being around a restaurant, but the downside was I could hardly remember about half the things going on because I was drunk all the time. So about the third day of being open, I looked at my wife and I said, "You know what? I think I'm going to have to quit drinking to get this thing off the ground." So I made a vow that I was quit drinking until we made $1 million, or $1 million in sales, not millionaire. But about 6 months later, yeah, we were, it was only bringing in about 15 to 20,000 a month. There was only like 6 employees. I mean, back in the '80s, that wouldn't have been too bad of an income for maybe a sandwich shop or something, but it wasn't going anywhere. And the longer I was sober, the longer I realized I didn't like what was going on. And about 6 months into it, I told my wife, I said, "You know what? I don't think I'm ever going to drink again." We were sitting at dinner with several friends. It was in Las Vegas at a Benihana's. And it was like there might have been 10 people that we'd all made a trip over there for a little short 2-day vacation or something. Uh, and everybody was blasted except me. And that's why I looked at my wife. I just looked at all that and I go, "This is not fun." Norm Macdonald did a great bit on being the designated driver and how much not fun that would have been. But I wasn't the designated driver. I was just the sober guy with a bunch of drunks. And boy, that just was like mind altering. So anyway, I told her at that point, I don't think I'm ever going to drink again because I didn't miss it at all. In fact, the biggest problem with drinking for me in the first place, besides the fact I always got drunk, was I never liked the taste of it. I'd take a beer every night. They'd give the cooks from the first restaurant I worked in. They'd give the cooks beer at around 9 o'clock. It was beer time. Take the bartender come back, give you some beers, or the owner. And and I always, you've been working real hard and sweating, and you're really thirsty. I'd take a big slug of that beer every time. I kept thinking, why doesn't it taste good? You see guys on TV and movies taking a big slug of beer, going, boy, does that taste good. But it never tasted good, ever. One time it came real close. It was a Mother's Day, a very busy Mother's Day. And I'd been working straight for about 12 hours. And it's kind of stuff you can do back when you're in your 20s. And a beer came back, and I drank it down. And it wasn't that it didn't taste bad. It's just that it almost quenched my thirst. So I thought, this one comes close to tasting, but it never did taste good. Pina coladas, I used to drink those because they sort of killed the alcohol flavor. All the shots, like drinking this ugly medicine, never did it for me. But if I could drink a couple of drinks, then it was like it might be tasting good. But even then, there was sometimes I remember I was real drunk one time and I wanted some more booze, and the only thing that was left was a Heineken. For some reason, there was a Heineken in my refrigerator, so I started to drink that, and I had to dump it out. It just was awful, and I'm sure people that taste beers and they love it, but to me, it never tasted good. And one of the eye-opening things about beer is I remember one day I had beer in the cupboard. I hadn't put it in the refrigerator. I went and got one and I tasted it. It was like vomit. It tasted like vomit. Probably because I vomited so much beer. But anyway, that's what I attribute to leaving the restaurant business and becoming a international superstar. Okay, that didn't happen. I've tried to sell real estate. I've tried to sell restaurant goods. I tried to sell cars. I mean, you just go down the whole list. I kept trying to sell it. I finally came to the conclusion that I couldn't sell free fish to a seal. So after many tries of RVs, I tried to sell RVs for a week. I tried to sell a dish network while I installed them. You go install one and you go across the street. That lasted a week. I was terrible at it. So I finally came to grips with the fact that I can't sell, and tried to be a comedian. I enjoyed that when you get laughs, when a whole set works and you've got the audience in control, that is the most incredible feeling in the world. There's nothing like that. And I got that a couple of times, but I never got past doing like uh, 5 minutes. Uh, One time I did a 7 minute set. Most of them were 3 minute, open mics and stuff like that, and comedy contests and things. But it was so much fun. But it was again, I didn't want to have to do what comedian. I found as I was doing that, I found out from working comedians what it was like. And you had to go around the country and stay in dingy, dirty condominiums, work in some of the worst clubs, and they're really seedy areas. I mean, this is all out of my thing to like. But that's when I was slowly learning how to be a hermit, because well, not how to be one, how to come to grips with that. I'm probably better off not being around people. The last thing I should do is run a restaurant. So anyway, I own this restaurant, Hermit Bob's Dragonfly Garden Bistro. Only got one customer, and my wife, and she's more like an owner customer, and everything else is delusional, which makes me very happy. So anyway, I was going to tell you about this movie I saw last night. It was on Prime. It was called Maggie Moore, and then they had an S in parentheses. So it was like Maggie Moore's, like more than one Maggie. And it was from 2022, I think it said. And I didn't recognize um, most of the cast. I'd heard of two of them, John Hamm and Tina Fey. And I couldn't remember where I knew John Hamm from, and he sort of looked familiar. And Tina Fey, the only thing I knew her from was Don Rickles at the Apollo. She was one of the roasters. And then I think I've seen her on a couple of different awards show as a presenter. And she and Amy Poulter do kind of bits up there, and they're pretty funny. I didn't know I know she was on some. She might have been on Saturday Night Live. In fact, I think she was. But then she was on a program at 30 Rock, something like that. I never saw that program, but apparently that would made a big name for her. But anyway, this one, she was a really good actress. It was really good. This story was about two women named Maggie Moore, and both ended up getting killed. And Tina Fey wasn't one of the Maggies. She was the next door neighbor. But it was fascinating, and I really enjoyed it. And John Hamm was the sheriff. And I still can't figure out where I knew him from. He did look familiar, sounded familiar, but I have a real hard time recognizing people. I think I got a disability, I guess you call it, your brain. I've always had this my whole life, and then I found out there's actually a a, a symptom or actually a named condition that people can't recognize people. I learned about it at watching an old new British detective series where one of the people that could have been a witness to the murder or whatever couldn't. He said he couldn't be a witness because he had whatever the name of that is. And I thought, oh man, they're making up stuff now. That's a writer just pulling stuff out of thin air. And because I was in denial that I had that problem, I just thought I was dumb. Still think I'm dumb. But I looked it up on Wikipedia, and actually it was Google, um, and it's a real thing. And I researched it further and further and took sort of the little tests that see if you had 100% on those tests. So I have inability to explain so much. But in this movie, there's two characters that looked alike, I guess, and I got them mixed up, and I couldn't figure it out. I had to go back and replay it, and then it made perfect sense. But it was really, really interesting. I thought it was good. Yeah, I think it got 6.2 on Independent Movie Database, but I enjoyed it. It had some good stuff going on. Little, little brutal, and it probably shouldn't be eating dinner watching it. I did, but I got a strong constitution. Okay, that's it. That's all I got for you. Smoke them if you got them. And we're talking ribs, of course. Hermit Bob saying good night from the laundry room.